for practice here at Azerbaijan. Should be an interesting battle. Remember, the circuit is 6 kilometers long, which is 3.7 miles of 20 corners, making for an interesting lap, which we could see lap times dip below 1:43. Overtaking opportunities are a rarity here, with your main opportunity being down the massively long DRS straight into turn number 1, and maybe sizing up a move into turn number 3. Now, it's going to be no short of exciting in this practice session. There may be not many drivers, but they're starting to pour onto the track. And now we can begin to see these drivers pour onto the circuit. Should be an interesting battle for the top spot. Anyway, I will be commentating your race here today, and it should be interesting. I think it's time for qualifying for the practice session, and yes, that is all I have to say. Yes. Seems like we've already got a AlphaTauri's gone off. It's a bit of a dangerous place to have gone off, actually. So the Red Bull's quite clearly under AI. Now, this could be very, very interesting, as we see, I believe, I'm not sure if they're actually controlling the car or it's under AI. Quite clearly is, because they're upshifting like hell. Wow. Upshifting very sporadically. Now, we have a driver starting a hot lap. Obviously, they're going to be setting the fastest time, providing they don't get it invalidated. Now, this is interesting. He is on a pretty good looking lap. How well does he commit through here? I think he clipped the inside wall there with his left front wing. Might not be greatest of ways to start your race. And it looks like he'll live to fight another day, but it's not what you want to be doing. As he clipped the inside wall of the castle section. Don't do a Charles Leclerc. That would be not so good for your practice session here. Bear in mind, these results don't count towards the official championship. They are just practice sessions. These drivers are going to be doing qualifying. Gives them an opportunity to get a feel of the car, really understand the piece of machinery they're going to be driving come tomorrow at 10 AM. The official race. This could be interesting also, as I'm actually racing here tomorrow as well. And pretty big skill gap there. Driver in the pits, both racing points in the pit lane. Now, interestingly, going for a second hot lap. How that's going to work out, I have no idea. May work out beautifully, may not work. Uses a lot of curb on the exit, really maximizes that exit. Can't really get a good camera angle through here, although he does look very good. How much of the curb is he going to use through there? None of it. Interestingly, you can gain about a tenth or two just by using that curb on the inside of that really sharp downhill left-hander, and he chose to use none of it. Big advantage to be gained, and I think he could have gained a lot more if he had, and he chose not to. Well, he is going to cross the line. No, he's not. Despite being about 4 tenths up, he's had enough. He's come into the pits. You do, however, have... Well, you're going to be going into the pits, aren't you? Yep. Now, the only car on track right now is the Racing Point, who hits their front wing on a curb. Good job, guys. So, he is on his outlap, and so is his teammate now. Interesting to see he's running hot lap. It's going to be a bit of engine wear. And now look as the Racing Point is about to begin its hot lap. Question is, how good of a hot lap is this going to be? And that is a question I cannot give you an answer to, but I will in about 1 minute 40. And that will be good. Hello, Eddie. Thanks for allowing me to join you. Also, yeah, Atari. Just doing a Mahaviragunathan. Just getting it all wrong, going straight on. Also, we've got FIFA Beefy, who has decided to join us for the remainder of qualifying and then the race. What a name, FIFA Beefy. Now, this is going to be interesting. Fastest sector 1. What's he going to do in sector number 2? Well, he does have a little lock up through there, but keeps it on the circuit. Very nice through there. Short shifting up to third. He doesn't go too wide through there. Very nice on the throttle as well. Up shifting to third clearly helped him on acceleration through that section. How much of the corner is he going to cut? Again, none of the corner being cut. These drivers are taking no risks. And he sets the fastest middle sector to coincide with his mega lap he is having here. It's going to probably be about a 140, I think. It's definitely going to be better than a 141.1, I would think. And we'll roll up to the line, and it is a 141.5. Surprisingly, not quite enough to take provisional pole position, which is interesting. Now, the Red Bull almost 2 tenths up on sector 1 time. What a pretty good sector 1 that has clearly been for the Red Bull driver of Eddie. And well, Luke puts an end to his reign at the top, setting a 138.7. What a lap. A really good lap from the Racing Point. And I'm not sure what damage has been sustained to the Red Bull. Significant wing damage on both sides. It's really not going to help with turn-in or downforce or just anything. Because the Red Bull at a severe disadvantage. And cuts the corners to head to the pit lane. To hopefully get that front wing changed for a third and probably final run at Azerbaijan. Good lap from Leauge though to take that provisional pole, and so 1:38.7, really good lap, and it sees him currently sit on the top step here at practice qualifying. Now, if this is anything to go by, the field spread is pretty large, but that could provide some interesting racing as we head on to the 50% race. Interesting to note that FIFA Beefy, he just hasn't left the pits. He's just stayed there in his McLaren and done nothing. Though speaking of that, he's about to come out. And there he is. Leauge pulls into the pits now. Filling up. Max Vetes Kills is the only person on track at the moment, although Beefy is also on track. He's on an outlap. Contrary to the game, thinking he's on a lap. You are stupid. Yes, you did a Charles Leclerc. And we forgive you for doing a Charles Leclerc. Max is in the AlphaTauri, and depends how early is he going to open DRS. Pretty much as soon as he can. DRS open on the back of the AlphaTauri. He's about to start his hot lap here at Azerbaijan. Interested to see what the McLaren can do actually. None of them using the curb on the exit, which is interesting. You can really maximize time by using curb on the exit there. And there's still clearly a lot of time to gain for these drivers across the board. You want to really maximize the curb there as well. You can go so much wider than a lot of these drivers are. I think they're not quite understanding the track limits fully. Again, you can go wider through there, just don't use too much of the curb. Take a compromise line through here, as he kind of does, to really set yourself up through here, but you don't want to use the inside curb or the curb on the exit, so that's not helped him all too much. This corner, you can really abuse. And they really aren't abusing it at all. The corners here at Azerbaijan, which is interesting. They're kind of abusing that one. You could run a bit wider through there though. Just be careful not to unsettle the car. Now, oh, he's the first person to really abuse that corner, and he abused it beautifully. So it's the fastest middle sector to go along with that, and he's 2 seconds up on his current PB. Could be looking to take a further chunk out if he has the run down to the line. DRS open, it's not been invalid. It's been a mega lap from the AlphaTauri. He crosses the line, it is a 1:41.0. And now FIFA Beefy is on his hot lap as well. And Eddie says he can gain at least 3 tenths on his lap time. So we'll see how that pans out for the Red Bull Racing driver as he moves on for his final lap. Speaking of final lap, FIFA Beefy is on what is likely to be his final lap, and he's set the fastest middle sector. Also there's a Mercedes doing a Daniel Ricciardo, not a Maha Gunther, wrong corner. And FIFA Beefy, DRS open, comes across the line. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? It's going to be a 1:39.8. Not far off provisional pole, but just far enough. I don't think FIFA Beefy is going to be able to get another lap, so he's going to have to either do a second push lap, or he's just going to have to settle for second at minimum. Now, and he is on his hot lap. He's binned it no more. He could, as long as he hasn't got substantial damage, which it doesn't look like he has, can go for a second push lap. Seems to be what he's done. He's gone to non-ERS. And it seems like he might actually do exactly as I mentioned. Stevie, he's just finishing up his hot lap. And he's going to go, well, not within the 107% rule, that's for sure. He is on a hot lap now. Question is, what kind of lap will it be? Yes, he's definitely going to be going for a second push lap. Will Eddie in the Red Bull? And yeah, it's quite clear he is going to be tackling the streets of Azerbaijan for a second time. But I believe someone binned it in the castle section. Yes, the racing point. That's damage to his wing. But the other racing point, he's just, well, he's ended his qualifying on the circuit. Not sure exactly what the FIA would have to say to that, but he's retired from this race. The McLaren is on a hot lap. It'll be as to what he can do, though. Can he get anywhere remotely close to pole position? Well, about to find out soon enough. There's only two drivers really on hot laps as it stands. I don't think the Racing Point is going to be able to get another lap. His time is over. Stevie comes across the line. He goes third at this moment in time with a 1:42. Eddie has retired. Oh, the McLaren has grazed the wall through there. It doesn't look like he got too much damage. He's still a little bit up on his time as well. If he can really get the good exit here, he could potentially take pole position. There's nobody else to contend with. There's no traffic. There's nothing. It's just him and the car as it stands. It's also cut away from him. That was a bit mean. He's also decided to pull... No, he's not pulled into the pit lane. He's got low fuel mode. Well, it's not very nice. But FIFA Beefy will take second. And that is pretty much a guarantee. So after qualifying, Luke in the Racing Point does take pole position with a 1:38.7. What a lap time. And then the Jamaican of FIFA Beefy comes in second with a 1:39.8. So it's not quite as close as I originally thought. And Steve goes third with a 1:42. And that was the top three after qualifying. Thank you for complimenting my commentary with just 5 races, but it can still be very, very interesting, and it is torrential weather. I was not paying attention, didn't see any clouds during qualifying, but there are certainly some clouds overcast here, and it is wet weather here at Azerbaijan. That is not good for these drivers. They are going to be dreading these conditions. That is going to pre havoc. And this is havoc that these drivers are going to have to contend with. And you got 6 drivers that are going to be contending with these incredibly wet conditions here in Azerbaijan. Just got 6 seconds to go as we count down until, I believe, formation lap, if there is one. Not quite sure on that, but yes, the formation lap is underway. It's a 25% race, giving these drivers a little opportunity to get a bit acclimatized to these treacherous conditions. You'd expect them to go a little bit more, with a little bit more pace during this race, and apparently the wet weather is going to subside, and they're currently all on the intermediate compounded tyre, the green wall tyre. And the fastest strategy would be to stay on those tyres till the end of the race, but the game isn't taking into account that it will be drying up, apparently. But it's as to when it dries up, as to if we get any dry compound runners in this race. Now, it is very, very gloomy. You can very clearly see that this is very gloomy. Dark. They've all got their umbrellas out in the grandstands, and the marshals are on the side of the track. I'm not sure if they have umbrellas either. You would hope so, because it is not going to be particularly fun to be a marshal in these treacherous conditions. Doesn't appear they have umbrellas, which is unlucky if you're a marshal, because it is absolutely soaking here in Azerbaijan. Now, we are nearly kind of underway. The formation is very, very nearly over. No disqualifications for collisions. However, anything could happen in the final few seconds of the formation lap. Now I believe the field is under AI control, yes. So we are now about to line back up on the grid. Apologies for my cough. My throat has been very ticklish, if you can say that. Not sure if you can, but that's a thing now. I've made it a thing. Anyway, it is time for 5 red lights, and away we go here at Azerbaijan. And it looks like it was a pretty good start from our pole sitter. Leauge does lead down into turn 1. There's a bit of kerfuffling behind as they look to gain on each other in these wetter conditions. Who has the better setup for that? Oh, and there's already McLaren. FIFA Beefy, he's immediately off. And Eddie too. He's already lost a position. FIFA Beefy, he's lost 2 positions after getting significant front wing damage off the barrier. He's now gained a position back on Stevie. And now he's forcing the AlphaTauri through the next sequence of corners. It's actually Max who's gained 2 positions on the opening lap of the race. And already has this been an interesting opening lap. Leauge is already leading by 2 seconds at this stage in the Grand Prix. But can he crash and provide some interesting action as you move through lap number 1? Someone is definitely going to bin it through castle section. Nobody has binned it through castle section. However, Leauge has spun it round on the exit. The pole sitter, he's falling down to 6th. Oh, and he's losing his front wing for good measure. He has a hefty repair job and recovery race to drive now, as Max leads the race. He started in 4th. And he leads as we move to the end of the opening lap of the race. But he's lost it. He's lost it. He's collected the McLaren. No, he's not. He's not collected the McLaren, but he nearly collected the McLaren. So the McLaren of FIFA Beefy, he's got damage, but he is leading the race at the end of lap number 1. And Max actually pits at the end of the race, and that's a 2:05 lap time after that dramatic lap number 1. As you can see, the end plate on the right missing on FIFA Beefy, and that is not a great way to start your race. Now we move through, and well, there's 3 drivers in the pits: Max, Stevie, and Luke 05 HD. Not been a great opening lap for the pole sitter. He's already down 5 positions after getting significant damage after losing it, and it's really going to be quite annoying for them. But they press on with this Grand Prix. Anything could happen. Not any of these drivers could bin it in the castle section, and it's going to be a very, very dangerous place to be. Just noticing that Stevie is really pressuring Max through the corners in the Mercedes. Stevie the TV. What a good name. He's really got the lines over the AlphaTauri, really just sticking with him and pressuring that AlphaTauri potentially into mistakes. However, the AlphaTauri continues to lead for the time being. These drivers are really bucketing it down into each corners, pun intended. FIFA Beefy sets a 1:57.2 on lap number 2. Now he's on lap number 3, as quite a bit of the field are actually trying to get on to lap number 3. Remember, there are 3 drivers. Oh, the AlphaTauri has lost a lot of front wing. I believe the Mercedes has lost some wing as well. Not quite sure on that, actually. Has the Mercedes lost any front wing? No, the AlphaTauri has lost a lot of front wing, though. The AlphaTauri sent it into a wall. Stevie almost did exactly the same, and the racing point? No, he's just there. But the AlphaTauri has lost both end plates and significant damage on the left side, and sent it into a wall, and that's a retirement. Whether that was intentional or not, you can't really tell because of the nature of it, but disappointing for the AlphaTauri, who DNFs from P5, was looking to get some points and now won't get any for his team. FIFA Beefy, though, he's still out in front and leading quite convincingly at this stage of the Grand Prix. Feeling very comfortable, and it would make sense. He is having a great time out in front. He sets another fastest lap of the race. Can anybody stop him at this stage of the race? Well, it appears nobody is coming close at this moment in time, but anything could happen. Oh, he's touched the wall. Looks like he's lost some of the downforce generating strakes on his front wing. He probably will have to pit for that, and Luke's just fastest lap of the race. And yeah, proven by the fact he has just lost 1.8 seconds in sector 1 on his personal best sector time. Now he knows that the drivers behind him are going to be gaining, and that could actually really change the dynamic of this race. Where will FIFA Beefy come out? Because he's likely going to have to pit. It's unlikely he will be able to stay out with significant damage as he has. It's quite clear he is losing a lot of time. Red Bull has also lost it. Can he keep it going? He has indeed kept the car going. What damage has he got? None. Lucky for the Red Bull. Now, the McLaren driver, FIFA Beefy, is maybe going to pit. We don't know at this stage. He looks to be staying out. No, he's pitting. Which now means the driver that started in 6th is now on top. Yes, our pole sitter is our pole sitter is down in the 5th, and the person who started in 6th is up to the race leading position. Now, actually, the entire field except pole have pitted for dries. Soft, mediums, soft, and I believe that is soft as well. Interesting strategies here. This actually could mean the Racing Point loses a lot of time on these inters. Although it does look like maybe the inters are still a little bit faster. Actually, no, they're not anymore by the seems of it, because FIFA Beefy has gained quite a bit of time. Depends what is his sector 2 time going to be. Well, it's clearly dry at the moment. So we've had a little kerfuffle. Oop, there's cars spinning off. Quite clearly not got the lateral grip. Yes, significantly slower on the intermediate tyres. FIFA Beefy could potentially retake the lead. As Hamzi comes into the pit lane, abiding with that 49-mile-an-hour speed limiter, pulls into his pit box, and he's changing the front wing, which means he will definitely be losing the position here. And as I said, he does lose the position, and that means FIFA Beefy in the McLaren is leading the race again. Now, interesting stuff there. Red Bull just lost a position there with temporary yellow flags. I'm not entirely sure what happened. The Red Bull has just stuck it into a wall. Clearly not quite the grip they're looking for. Although FIFA Beefy seems to have all the grip in the world. because he is just going fast. I wonder if people in the grandstand have put away their umbrellas. Well, no, we'll see soon enough. It appears they have actually. Didn't know that was a actual feature in the F1 2020 game, but it appears it is, because I see no umbrellas in the crowds around the circuit. Red Bull just having a dismal time out in front. Dead last, sorry, on the soft tyres. This is not going right for him. He's getting a lot of damage. FIFA, he is just on fire. And Stevie's actually just got past Luke. But Luke's just set the fastest lap. Interesting battle here for third / fourth. Does Luke have the power down the straight? Doesn't appear so, although he does size up the move. Ooh, very fine margins as Stevie tries to leave him a little bit of room, but not too much room to work with. This is about the most interesting battle on circuit as it stands. And they are fighting pretty viciously as it stands at the Red Bull. It's just changed front wing and tyres and he's just sent it straight on. At turn 2, he's nearly been lapped. But the Racing Point and Mercedes are still going at it for position here at Azerbaijan. It is Luke who has DRS down the main straight and the advantage of slipstream. Can't make anything of it though. Now they're really using the curbs. Racing Point sends one to the inside. Just enough room left by Stevie again. He's really not leaving the Racing Point all too much room. Racing Point tries for the outside. Mercedes is still there though. And the Racing Point just gets a shocking amount of wheel spin. The Mercedes keeps hold of the position for the time being. There was a shocking amount of wheel spin on that Mercedes, and that's really not helped at all. Red Bull has just lost more of its front wing, and it is coming up to be lapped by the race leader. And he DNFs the car more out of frustration than anything else. I would have laughed if somebody collided with that stricken Red Bull. And yet again, the Mercedes and Racing Point are battling for position here at Azerbaijan, fighting for podium place. P3 is 15 points versus 12 points, and that is 3 points which could go really well in your Constructors or Drivers Championship bid. Also boost you up many places in your championship. Now, these drivers are, well, just fighting absolutely hard and trying to get every move they can, but neither of them can really do all too much. But I have noticed that the Racing Point did get past. And it's not been all too great for Eddie. As he just said, his AI got damaged. And it went downhill from there, which is obviously disappointing, but the harsh reality of F1 2020 can be hard. And just got very unlucky with damage. And FIFA is pitted, I believe, for another set of softs. I'm not sure if he had damage or what, but he has pitted and changed tyres. It'll be a 3-lap sprint to see if he can get back to the top step of the podium. Question is, can he, or will the Racing Points take a 1-3 here at Azerbaijan? Well, I don't know. And neither do you. So sit down and find out. Now, people on the softs are surely going to be losing some time right about now. And FIFA just gets past the Racing Point with ease. The Racing Point had a massive lock-up. That didn't allow the Racing Point much option, but let that McLaren through. That's exactly what the Racing Point did. And McLaren hasn't quite gapped a second, so the Racing Point will have DRS to utilise to maybe come back at the McLaren. So it'll be DRS wide open about now on the Racing Point. Sends it to the outside of the circuit and just makes it work very, very easily. But now the Racing Point just sends it into the wall. Didn't even think that was going to happen. That's exactly what has happened. And Luke's sped in the pit lane. So he changes his front wing. Clearly the end plate on the left side not working quite as he would have liked. And we now get a close-up of the person with his front wing. Thank you very much, Codemasters, for having broken animations that don't actually allow me to see the action. There was not really much action on lap number 11 of 13, other than the fact Luke pitted. Other than that, seems like the order on the track should remain pretty stagnant, but what an interesting race it's been. 2 DNFs wet to start with, then obviously went to dries, and the dries were not very grippy to begin with. They're fine now, but to begin with they were very treacherous, and we saw many drivers spin off of the circuit, getting significant damage. Some drivers have actually done 3 stops here at Azerbaijan. Most of the field has done a 2-stop. So there's 2 drivers having done a 1-stop and 1 doing a 3-stop. As for positions gained, well, FIFA Beefy is up 1 place because Luke started on pole. Farmsy is up 4, started 5th. Started last, sorry. Stevie, he started 3rd and has remained 3rd as it stands. Luke started on pole. and has moved down 3 positions and is currently running in 4th place. And your 2 DNFs are Eddie and Max, as they both suffered, I'm guessing, intentional DNFs as a result of probably frustration due to not having a good race. I also want to see penalties. Luke has a 5-second penalty which will be added to his time, and Farmsley has a 3-second time penalty, so he could potentially lose P2 if Stevie manages to close the gap enough. As for tyres, Stevie is on 6-lap old mediums, Farmsley is on 5-lap old mediums, FIFA is on 1-lap old softs, and Luke is on 0-lap old soft compound tyres. And that is pretty much it, I think, really, when it comes to this race. Other than the fact Stevie is now within 3 seconds of Farmsley, but he's got to keep it there now because he wants P2. That's 3 more points. Yep, 18 points for second in a race, and it's 15 for third. Can take points away from his rivals and get more points for himself. Hog the points. Now, as I said, all he has to do is stay within 3 seconds, and all that's a big lockup on the racing point. It'll be really unlucky if Stevie gets a penalty now, because that could really undo all of the hard work of catching up to the racing point. Luke sets a fastest lap of the race. A 1:45.9 for Luke. Really good lap time. And Stevie is almost within DRS range of Farmsley, so he might not just be able to get him on penalties, he might be able to get the racing point on track if he carries this pace forward. Bearing in mind the gap was about 2.2 seconds at the beginning of the lap, and it is now at less than a second. It's currently at 9/10 of a second, which is small margins. Oh, he falls slightly outside of DRS range there, but the racing point has a lock-up. That brings him right back in for DRS. He's got to stay there through the next few corners, though, and really, crucially, not lose it through the tricky left-right section here at Azerbaijan. If he does, it's going to play absolutely destroying for his chances at a second place. Will he get the racing point on track? Bear in mind, the race is over now. FIFA Beefy, he's won the race. Will Stevie be able to pull alongside? No, it doesn't look like he will, so he'll have to settle for it on penalties, but he will take second in this race, and Luke is going to cruise to a disappointing 4th place come the end of the race. Well, he DNFs, so he won't even take 4th place. But what a interesting race. Your driver of the day, according to the game, I think my driver of the day would be Beefy. FIFA Beefy. Honestly, he pitted twice and really drove a solid race for McLaren and took 25 points and the victory for McLaren, and just drove a very solid race. Well, that was a race that I certainly won't be forgetting. Apparently it's raining again. Well, Luke took the fastest lap, but he DNF'd. Now, what a race that was. Only 6 drivers, but that was 6 drivers which provided some brilliant racing. Obviously there was no safety cars, there was no real controversies, but there was a lot of wheel-to-wheel action. There were collisions, there were spins, there were people sending it way too deep into corners, but that all equaled some incredible racing. which we certainly saw displayed here today. Well, that was a great win for McLaren, and something I was not expecting going into this race, and that has really helped show that they clearly have some somewhat good pace for the race tomorrow at 10 a.m. BST. We'll be live again for the race, the main event where points count and drivers are pushing really, really, really hard, and that will be very, very interesting. Well, thank you all very much for what was a thrilling race, and obviously thank you for the opportunity to commentate over on an interesting race. It was. Now it is time to, unfortunately, have to end the stream, but thank you all very much for watching, enjoying an interesting race nonetheless, and I will catch you all very soon tomorrow for the main event. Goodbye.